Good evening, YouTube. This is Car Guys New England. Uh, Today's video topic is going to be about some of the pros and cons of owning an exotic car. And there's definitely a lot of them. I probably will just scratch the surface of a lot of it, but I just thought it would be a good topic for conversation. So, one of the first things is that the dream of owning the exotic car is very different than the actual reality of owning the car. And, well, what do I mean by that? Well, when you dream of the getting the car, you think, geez, I'm going to be looked at like I'm a celebrity, or, I'm going to be driving 100 plus miles per hour and things like that. But what the reality is you're not going to be looked at like a celebrity. People are going to want to see the car, but nobody gives, really a care about you or anything like that. And honestly, if you're doing that or getting an exotic car for that reason, you're getting it for the wrong reason. Do it for yourself, number one. But, you know, kind of hitting upon my point of, thinking you're going to be like flying down the road. In most states, you're going to get arrested, or you're going to having to appear before a judge and explain why you're doing 100 plus miles per hour. The other problem is that and I've heard some people getting rid of their exotic cars for this reason, is because they're constantly in traffic. It's frustrating to drive one of these cars in traffic. It's just very aggravating to be stuck behind a slow driver, or people that think they're entitled, that they, won't move out of the way. So the left lane hogs, definitely a big problem. Some of the Sunday drivers out there, just cruising along. It makes it a very frustrating experience in reality, because you'll quickly find out that there isn't that much open road unless you're willing to get up on a Sunday morning and hit the road at like 6 7 a.m. if you want some open roads. But at that point, the only people on the roads are going to be, and I see this a lot of the time, I see a lot of sports cars owners out early on a Sunday morning, but also the other thing that's on the road a lot of the time on a Sunday morning with nothing to do is the police. And you're increasing your likelihood to get pulled over, in that particular circumstance. So just something to think about there, regarding that. So the other reality that people really just don't think about when they're dreaming about owning the exotic car is maintenance and repairs. You think, yeah, I'm going to get enough money to cover the note, everything's going to be great. But the reality is these cars need a lot of love and care to be taken care of. They need a lot of maintenance. When you need parts, they're extremely expensive. So if you can just barely make the note on a car like this, you're going to be screwed, absolutely screwed when something goes wrong. And I can guarantee you something will go wrong. And I'm not knocking the quality or anything like that, but they're Italian cars, they're temperamental, and that's just the way it is. One of the other realities of owning an exotic car is it's going to draw a lot of attention, and it can be good attention and it can be bad attention. And thankfully, what I've seen with the Lamborghini, you tend to get a lot of good attention. And this is open for debate, but it could be because Lamborghini's looked at like it's the underdog's car. You know, I don't know what it is, but I have friends that own Ferraris, and they get people putting up the middle finger and things like that. So you tend not to get as much negative attention in the Lamborghini versus a Ferrari, it seems like, but that's just based on my own personal experience. But a couple things that you need to be prepared for with owning an exotic car. you will have a lot of people taking pictures of you. Um, that just goes with the territory owning one of these cars. But the problem is, you're going to find a lot of people that want to follow you home or follow where you're going. That's kind of where I draw the line, and I get a little bit annoyed by that because obviously, I don't want to advertise the fact that I have a Lamborghini in my garage and this is my house and, things like that. So, you know, normally where I could get home very quickly, I have to take a route that I call the route to the Bat Cave, literally, where it's an additional 2.5 miles of zigzagging streets through different neighborhoods in town just so I can get the car into the garage, pretty much unnoticed. I do find that's frustrating, but it works really well. I've had multiple people trying to follow me through my, Batcave entrance neighborhoods, and since there's a ton of cul-de-sacs and side streets and everything like that, I'm able to lose them every single time, which is kind of funny. But it's frustrating just to, put the extra miles on just to, lose somebody that's trying to follow you home, and all you want to do is just get home at that point or something like that. But, that's also another point of owning an exotic car. So, another example of a negative experience was I was heading back from a Sunday morning cars and coffee event, and I could see in my side view mirror, I was looking at it, and saw this huge pickup truck just barreling my way. And I could see a ton of soot just coming out of his exhaust. And I knew for a fact that this lunchbox Johnny was literally trying to roll coal on me. Now, you know, I wasn't going to let that happen. I probably could have outbraked him, honestly, thinking about it now. But I kept speeding up, and this guy was literally almost right next to me, just ready to roll coal on me, for whatever reason, jealousy, anger at his own life. God knows, but it was just so ridiculous when you really think about it, because years ago, you know, I didn't grow up rich. I didn't inherit a ton of money. I'm just a normal guy that grew up in a normal, middle class, lower middle class neighborhood, um, you know, that I worked hard to get where I'm at today. And when I see somebody trying to like do something like that, it like I can't even wrap my mind around it, because my mindset is, I always try to look at the positive, and um, I'm happy for people that are successful. I really am. Especially if it's a result of a lot of hard work and things like that. Like, I grew up in a small ranch style house, you know, just, and when I got married, I was in a small 300 square foot apartment. Pretty much had nothing at that point in my life, and I worked and worked and worked to build a business, to kind of get out of that situation, and today, as a result of my hard work, I have this car, obviously. I bought myself a house. I've started a family, a lot of these things. But, it just really, really bothers me, just on a certain level, that somebody would just want to, number one, want to roll coal on the car. It's a beautiful car. Number two, like, what was their motivation for it? Like, are they frustrated with their own life? Like, um, but, God knows. But, that's just another example of just some of the attention that you're going to draw to yourself. And sometimes it's negative, and be prepared for it. It is what it is. So here's kind of a pro and con of owning an exotic car. It can create business opportunities for you. Um, Obviously, a lot of people that own vehicles like this, they're entrepreneurs themselves. A lot of people will ask you, "Hey, what do you do?" And then, "Hey, I need that particular service or business or things like that." So it's a great networking tool. Once you have a car like that. But in business, this is, some ways it can or could hurt you. Some people look at owning an exotic car as that, that's really excessive. Like, why do you have that? But on the same side of the coin, that particular person, spends hundreds of thousands of dollars on vacations that you have nothing after you leave other than some pictures and some memories. Or you can, own an exotic car and enjoy it frequently. But for some reason, there's certain people with that mindset that, hey, you shouldn't own that. That's excessive, which honestly, I think it's ridiculous. It's no one's business, quite frankly. It's not your client's business. It's not your employee's business, your staff's business, whatever. And that kind of brings me into, the other thing too, obviously, and this goes for no matter how well you treat your own employees, your staff, things like that. Um, Unfortunately, it's just human nature. People are going to get jealous about it. And, it's really a shame. You know, I could cite an example about it, but honestly, I'm just going to take the high road about it. It's just, I'm over it. And, you know, but, it is what it is. But those are just some things to think about. And just, if you own an exotic car, what I recommend doing is being very low key about ownership of it. Don't tell people about it. You know, don't go blasting past your business in it. Don't bring it to work, you know, unless people already know about it because people do gossip and things like that. But, that's just my own feelings about it. Um, because some people look at it like you're throwing it in their face, even though you're really not. Um, that you're just trying to enjoy something that you love to do. But some people just don't connect on that level with it, and they don't look at it that way. And here's one thing I actually love about owning an exotic car. Um, I'm in a very stressful profession, just a lot to deal with on a day-to-day basis. And one of the great things about it is it's a great way to decompress. And actually, a lot of my, worries, a lot of my stress, just the bad day, once you get behind the wheel of an exotic car, it's like Prozac on wheels without taking any drugs or anything like that. That's your reward. And, it reminds you, and it could be anything. It could be a house. It could be, well, whatever. But it reminds you of what you're working hard for. You're working hard to, you know, drive that exotic car, to have that house, to build the family that you always wanted, things like that. Um, you know, it just, for example, today I got an email that was extremely obnoxious from a client. And, honestly, I'll deal with that particular email, on the weekday. But, you know, I was so angry that I just decided, oh, I'm going to get in the car. I'm going to go for a cruise. And honestly, now it's just, you know, I'm not upset about it anymore. And, quite frankly, I'll be able to deal with it Monday and just get on with things. But, it certainly helped me bring me back down to a level where I didn't feel so stressed or upset about that particular email. Um, but yeah, that's pretty much that.